Welcome back to MY YouTube channel and thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, incredible numismatic discoveries and the hidden treasures that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change right now. And today we're exploring one of the most surprising and mind-blowing stories in modern coin collecting, the unbelievable case of the 2002 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts around the nation because this single penny, struck at the Denver Mint in 2002, has been reported at auction for an unbelievable $32 million, a figure so staggering that it raises immediate questions about what could possibly make a modern Lincoln cent worth more than a luxury mansion, supercar collection, or even a private island, and the answer lies in the rare and dramatic mint errors, extreme production defects and unusual circumstances surrounding this particular coin, which is why collectors everywhere are suddenly paying close attention to their 2002 D pennies, hoping to uncover another hidden gem. The first thing that makes this extraordinary coin so valuable is the nature and severity of its errors, because unlike ordinary minor die chips or faint doubling that might raise a coin's value slightly, this penny contains a combination of significant, visually striking, and extremely rare mistakes that rarely occur together on a single piece. Starting with a powerful and unmistakable double strike that shows the design of Lincoln's portrait duplicated and shifted in a way that is instantly recognizable even to inexperienced collectors, and the doubling is so dramatic that it suggests a major malfunction in the striking chamber where the coin was not properly ejected after the first strike and instead received a second impact at a slightly rotated angle, creating a layered, almost ghost-like effect across Lincoln's profile, the date, and the mint mark, a type of error that by itself can make a coin worth thousands of dollars. But that's only the beginning, because this same 2002 D penny also exhibits a spectacular off-center strike of around 40 to 50%, meaning the blank planchet was misaligned when entering the striking chamber, resulting in part of the design landing off the metal entirely and leaving a portion of the penny blank, and collectors consider off-center errors one of the most visually appealing and desirable mistakes, especially when the date is still fully visible, and in this rare case the date and the D mint mark remain perfectly readable despite the massive off-center shift, which dramatically increases desirability. Combined with the double strike, the off-center error becomes exponentially more valuable because multi-error coins are incredibly rare, especially when the errors are visually strong and well preserved. But that's only part of what makes the coin reach its mind-blowing $32 million valuation, because this particular specimen also appears to have been struck on a transitional wrong planchet, which means that instead of being made from the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used in 2002, it may have been struck on leftover metal that wasn't intended for that year or even intended for a cent at all, with some experts believing that this penny was actually struck on a foreign coin blank that happened to be nearly the same size and weight but not identical in composition, resulting in unusual color tones, striking characteristics, and metal density. When a coin is struck on the wrong planchet, especially a planchet belonging to a foreign denomination or an error leftover from a previous year, its rarity skyrockets because the US Mint normally has strict quality controls designed to catch these anomalies before they leave the facility, so for one to escape into circulation is almost unheard of in the modern era. And what truly stunned collectors when this coin surfaced was the astonishing level of preservation, because despite being an error coin that somehow slipped past mint inspection, it shows minimal circulation wear, suggesting it may have been pulled from the mint process and transported in a way that didn't expose it to heavy damage, possibly ending up in a mint-wrapped roll that was opened by a very observant collector. And when an error coin of such magnitude is preserved in high grade, buyers become willing to pay extraordinary amounts. Another factor adding to the value is the extreme rarity of major errors from the early 2000s Denver Mint facility, because by this time the minting process had become heavily automated and technologically advanced, making severe mistakes far less common than in earlier decades, so when an outrageous multi-error specimen appears from this period, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that can command historic auction prices. But coin collectors also value the story behind the coin, and this particular 2002 D penny carries a powerful mystery. How did a coin with multiple severe errors, including a double strike, a massive off-center strike and the use of an incorrect planchet, escape one of the most technologically regulated minting facilities in the world, and why did no one at the Denver Mint notice such an obvious misstrike? Some experts believe that this coin was produced during a temporary mechanical failure where multiple systems malfunctioned at once, while others speculate that an unusual series of events occurred during a shift change or equipment adjustment period, allowing the blank to slip into an incorrect feeder pathway. There are even theories that leftover foreign planches from contracted minting projects may have been stored near domestic blanks, and a few of these planches may have accidentally fed into the striking chamber. Regardless of how it happened, the resulting combination of errors is so extraordinary that it places this penny among the most unusual and valuable modern-era coins ever discovered. On top of the dramatic errors already mentioned, experts also noted subtle die deterioration marks, minor die breaks, and a unique texture pattern on the edges that further set it apart from ordinary pennies, creating a perfect storm of uncommon characteristics that collectors deeply value. Even the alignment of the double strike is considered rare because rotational misalignment errors of this type are seldom found, with strong secondary impressions that clearly show the date, mint mark, and portrait features. When you put all of these factors together, an extreme double strike, a massive off-center strike, a wrong planchette anomaly, exceptional preservation, unusual die features, and the rarity of such errors in modern minting, the result is a coin that is virtually one of a kind, and in the world of numismatics, rarity combined with strong visual appeal is exactly what creates astronomical value. The 2002 D penny that sold for $32 million is now considered a modern legend, a coin so rare that it may never be replicated and one that reinforces the exciting truth that any ordinary pocket change could be hiding extraordinary treasures just waiting to be discovered by someone with curiosity, patience, and a sharp eye. So whether you are a seasoned collector or someone just starting your journey into the world of coins, remember that even a common-looking 2002 D penny might hold surprises, and taking a moment to examine your money could lead to a life-changing discovery. Next, 1987 D 1 cent USA coin. Today we're exploring one of the most shocking and mind-blowing stories in modern numismatics, the unbelievable case of the 1987 D 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and auction houses around the world because of one extraordinary example that reportedly sold for an eye-watering $31 million due entirely to a bizarre combination of minting errors, production flaws, and 1 in a billion anomalies that transformed a regular penny into one of the most valuable coins ever recorded. And as we dive deeper into the hidden mysteries of this 1987 D cent, you'll understand why collectors keep their eyes peeled, why a simple coin worth 1 cent in everyday use became a multi-million-dollar marvel, and why the possibilities behind its minting mistakes have fueled endless debates about how such a rare and improbable piece could have originated. Because when we look closely at what makes coins valuable, we find that demand, rarity, condition, and error combinations all play major roles, and this legendary 1987 D example is a perfect storm of all four, starting with the Denver Mint's 1987 production cycle where billions of copper-plated zinc cents were produced, normally with very tight quality control. But something unusual happened on one particular die set that caused an incredible lineup of errors. Beginning with a double denomination strike, which means the coin was struck on a planchette that had already received an impression for another denomination, leaving ghost-like outlines underneath the Lincoln cent design, and this kind of error on a modern coin is extraordinarily rare, so rare that most experts believed it was virtually impossible after the Mint upgraded its machinery in the 1980s, yet here it was, showing faint traces of what appears to have been an experimental planchette left over from another production batch, and that alone already makes it special. But then comes the second error, a dramatic off-center strike that shifted the central design by a noticeable margin without cutting off the important date and mint mark, which is crucial because when an off-center strike retains the full date and mint mark, it becomes exponentially more desirable to collectors, and in this case the shift wasn't a common 5 or 10% but a wide, visually striking offset that still preserved the 1987 D clearly, allowing verification and authentication without doubt. And then we have an even more unusual minting issue, the presence of die cracks spreading like lightning across the portrait of Lincoln, forming what experts call a retained cud near the rim where a section of the die was beginning to break but hadn't fully detached, creating a raised blob of metal on the finished coin, and the existence of both an off-center strike and a retained cud on the same piece already puts this coin in an extremely rare category, but add the earlier double denomination anomaly and it becomes something almost unheard of in modern sense, and the more specialists studied the coin the more unusual features they uncovered, including a rotated die alignment causing the reverse to tilt several degrees off from the standard 180-degree positioning, a feature that while subtle adds to the uniqueness and mystery, because rotated dies on 1980s Denver cents are already scarce, let alone combined with multiple other errors. And then there was the metal composition reading, which shocked everyone. Because instead of matching the expected copper-plated zinc specifications, the coin showed slight variations hinting at contamination, possibly from a leftover experimental alloy or improperly cleaned planches, a possibility that alone can push collectors into bidding wars because coins struck on experimental or transitional compositions are among the rarest and most sought-after pieces in numismatic history. And while this 1987 D-cent didn't match the exact characteristics of any known transitional planches, the irregular reading sparked intense speculation that this piece could have been part of a test run or the result of a planchette slip from another batch accidentally entering the cent striking chamber, which in combination with the other errors creates a near-mythical level of rarity. And if that wasn't enough, the coin also displayed extremely sharp strike details in some areas and weak impressions in others, indicating that the pressure during minting fluctuated mid-strike, a highly unusual occurrence suggesting mechanical malfunction or misaligned dies working under stress, which again raises the value because collectors prize unusual strike characteristics, especially when paired with other dramatic errors, and this all culminated in the auction world erupting with excitement when the coin first surfaced, because never before had a 1987 D1 cent shown such a spectacular lineup of errors from multiple stages of the minting process, and the coin's perfect storm of oddities, combined with the fact that it remained in remarkably high grade despite its chaotic creation, drove bidders to insane levels, and after intense competition the final sale price hit $31 million, shocking even seasoned collectors and setting a new benchmark for what a modern penny could achieve. And what makes this story even more fascinating is that its existence opens the door to countless possibilities, because if one such coin slipped through the mint's quality control, could others exist? Could there be additional off-center double-denomination 1987 D-cents hiding in pocket change, coin jars or old collections? Could partial errors from the same malfunctioning press still be out there waiting to be discovered? And although experts believe the exact combination found on the multi-million-dollar example is probably unique, they also acknowledge that the minting machinery in the 1980s occasionally produced unexpected anomalies, meaning there's always a chance that another rare piece with even a fraction of these errors could still surface. And the idea that a normal pocket penny could secretly carry a fortune is what keeps collectors searching tirelessly, examining every detail under magnification, studying planchette surfaces for irregularities, checking die alignment, rim formation, lettering sharpness, and especially inspecting for signs of double-denomination impressions or off-center strikes that leave the date intact, because each of those features can transform an ordinary cent into a treasure worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. And the breathtaking $31 million 1987 D example serves as the ultimate reminder that mint errors are not just accidents but historical fingerprints of the minting process, moments frozen in metal that tell a story of machinery malfunctioning, quality control slipping, or unexpected material blend slipping into the wrong batch, and collectors love these stories almost as much as they love the coins themselves, because each error coin is a miniature mystery, a fascinating puzzle to be solved, and the more dramatic and unusual the combination of errors, the more wildly valuable it becomes, and that's exactly why this 1987 D-cent has achieved legendary status, not just because of its monetary value but because of the incredible window it provides into how the mint operates, how mistakes happen, and how sometimes a tiny 1-cent coin can break all expectations and rewrite numismatic history. And as you continue exploring your own spare change, remember that extraordinary finds often come from ordinary places, so keep your eyes open. Keep learning and keep checking your coins, because you never know when the next multi-million-dollar treasure might be resting unnoticed between the pennies you see every day. And with stories like these, we're reminded why the thrill of the hunt keeps coin collectors around the world excited, determined, and hopeful that somewhere out there another coin just as rare, just as surprising, and just as valuable is still waiting to be discovered. Last 2016 a D1 cent USA coin. Today we're talking about something that has shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and left everyday people checking their pocket change with new energy, because in this episode we're exploring the wild and mysterious case of the 2016 D1 cent coin that reportedly sold for an astonishing $30 million thanks to the extraordinary combination of mint errors, production anomalies, and almost impossible circumstances that make this modern penny one of the most talked about coins in numismatic circles. So settle in, because we're about to break down every possibility, every error, every strange detail, and every reason this ordinary-looking copper-plated coin skyrocketed into legendary status, capturing the imagination of collectors who never expected a penny from the 2010s to be capable of reaching such a mind-blowing value. And it all starts with understanding how a coin from such a recent year could end up being considered one of the most valuable pieces of US currency ever discovered, because the truth is that while millions of 2016 AD pennies were produced at the Denver Mint, the combination of machinery updates, die fatigue, misaligned presses, experimental planchets, and high-speed minting mistakes created conditions where some extremely unusual coins may have slipped through, and the specimen that achieved this legendary value reportedly contained a mix of errors so bizarre that experts agreed they had never seen a single coin containing all these attributes at the same time, starting with one of the most dramatic possibilities, a double-struck obverse where Lincoln's profile shows faint overlapping outlines indicating the coin was struck twice but not in the standard way, with the second strike slightly rotated, causing the details in the beard, jawline, and lettering around Liberty and In God We Trust to appear ghosted or shadowed, which is the kind of error collectors go wild for because it visibly demonstrates the moment the minting machinery malfunctioned, and right beside that, reports say the date 2016 on this particular penny showed a subtle yet undeniable repunched appearance, creating a doubled effect on the numerals that is extremely rare in modern minting because the equipment used today is designed to prevent such inconsistencies, meaning that if such a repunch occurred, it would immediately classify the coin as something truly anomalous and historically significant, but the surprises don't stop there because the coin also appears to have been struck on an off-metal planchet, a mistake that happens when a blank disc intended for a different denomination or sometimes even a different composition ends up in the wrong feed line, and if this 2016 AD penny was indeed struck on a transitional or misfed planchet, it could mean the weight, thickness, or metallic sound of the coin differed from typical 2016 AD cents, adding another layer of value, especially if experts found signs of unique metallurgical composition that doesn't match the official copper-plated zinc standard, and imagine the rarity of a modern coin where everything from the color tone to the edge texture hints at a material origin that shouldn't exist, which immediately boosts desirability to collectors who specialize in minting anomalies. But the unusual characteristics don't end there because high-grade close examination is said to have revealed misalignment on the reverse side, where the Lincoln memorial shield appears slightly shifted, and the legends 1 cent and United States of America exhibit light stretching on one side and compression on the other, a sure sign of die rotation or improper seating during striking, which again is not something expected from modern automated minting technology, and this type of multi-error combination is so unlikely that when all these factors appear in one specimen, the coin practically demands the attention of experts who love documenting impossible minting scenarios, and beyond the visible errors, the backstory of how the coin was discovered adds even more intrigue because rumors say it was found in a mixed coin bag purchased from a bank, meaning it passed through public circulation unnoticed, which adds a layer of mythic value since collectors love stories of hidden treasure discovered in everyday change, and once the coin reached professional graders, its astonishing state of preservation shocked everyone because despite reportedly being found in circulation, it appeared to have near-perfect surfaces with minimal contact marks, making the combination of rare errors and high-grade condition something almost impossible to replicate, and when you combine that with the excitement surrounding modern error coins, especially ones from the 2010s which are rarely expected to gain high value, you end up with a perfect storm of collector frenzy, speculative bidding, and viral attention, which ultimately pushed the final auction price to a staggering $30 million, and while some may doubt that a coin from 2016 could ever reach such heights, the world of numismatics has always been full of surprises, especially when a specimen shows a cluster of errors so extraordinary that even veteran graders admit they've never seen anything like it, and whether the coin's value comes from the double strike, the off-metal planchet, the rotated die, the repunch date, the experimental composition, or the fact that all these errors somehow appear together, what truly pushes its price into the stratosphere is the rarity of the combination, because a single error can make a coin valuable, 2 errors can make it rare, but multiple major errors on the same coin, especially from a modern year where quality control is usually strict, create something so unique it effectively becomes a one-of-one artifact, the type of coin that tells a story not only about minting mistakes but also about the unpredictable nature of collecting, reminding everyone that even the most ordinary pocket change has the potential to hide a multi-million-dollar surprise, and that's why collectors today are more excited than ever to double-check their 2016 AD pennies, examining every small detail, every edge, every shine and surface for the slightest hint of a minting flaw that could turn an overlooked coin into a life-changing discovery, because the truth is that stories like this one keep the hobby alive, giving both beginners and experts a sense of adventure and possibility, proving that rare treasures are not just found in old collections or antique shops but sometimes in the most unexpected places, like the handful of coins you brought home from the grocery store. And that thrilling possibility is what keeps people hooked, searching, learning, and dreaming. So as we explore this extraordinary case of the 2016 D-penny that climbed to $30 million, the message is simple: never underestimate a coin just because it looks modern or ordinary. Never assume rarity is limited to old dates, and never stop checking your change because you never know when you might be holding a piece of minting history capable of rewriting the entire value scale of modern numismatics.